right, so the last champion before the rest of the cards get put into a video and we can move on to some deck building. We have Miss Fortune, and again, they nailed the champion design. I got to give Riot credit where credit is due. Every champion very much feels like their champion in League of Legends. So another great job done by Riot. And once again, because we have access to more cards right now, we are going to be going over some of the other cards that are Miss Fortune themed, not just the cards that were released with her preview. So you know the drill. If you're new, hit the sub button. If you like the video, do not forget to hit that like button, and we will get right into Miss Fortune. All right, so first up, before we get into the champion herself, we're going to get into some of her support cards. This first one being the Siren. So akin to the rest of the, captains or commanders in this set, such as Swain. Swain had the Leviathan to pull him out of the deck. Miss Fortune has the Siren. So this is a 7 cost, 3 attack, 7 health follower with Scout, which is pretty nifty. When you play the Siren, you do draw Miss Fortune, and on top of that, whenever the Siren attacks, all of your spells and abilities do an additional 1 damage. Now, it's interesting to note this does say while I'm attacking, so it's not like the Siren's going to attack, give you that effect for the rest of the turn, and then during your second, main phase, kind of so to speak, after the attack is done, you'll be able to still get that effect. It is only during combat, it seems like, right? So that is a little bit of a drawback to this card, but another great card if you are looking to play a deck centered around Miss Fortune. Next up, we have Scrapshot. This is an interesting card. This is a 7 cost fast spell that does 7 damage to a unit, so it's basically like a vengeance in that regard. But you do also toss 3 in order to play this. I'm not really impressed by this card. Like I said, you compare it directly to Vengeance. Vengeance kills a lot of other things that this does not. This can also be prevented with things like Barrier, whereas Vengeance cannot be prevented. So really, the only upside, if you want to call it that, is the toss 3 mechanic, which could be good, obviously, in a toss deck, but I'm not really sure how good it is outside of a toss deck. So I don't think this will see that much play. I just think Vengeance is an overall better card. And now we have Prowling Cutthroat, which was actually revealed with Miss Fortune. It's a 1 cost, 1/1 follower with Fearsome and Elusive. So this is interesting. We have not gotten any 1-drops with both of these effects. Now we have it, and it seems interesting. I don't know. This could be splashed, obviously, in an Elusive deck to push through a lot of damage. Even if your opponent does get something like a Shadow Assassin as a blocker. It's a big reason why Shadow Assassin was a good card in a lot of control decks, is that not only do you draw, you now have an elusive blocker. So having a fearsome elusive unit definitely helps get by a Shadow Assassin. However, this is just a 1-attack unit. Not sure how much value this is really going to have unless there ends up being some sort of super hyper aggressive elusive deck, even more aggressive than what we already have. And we have another follower, Hired Gun. Again, not revealed with Miss Fortune, but definitely very much in the theme of her. This is a 2-cost follower, 2 attack, 3 health. When summoned, grant the strongest enemy vulnerable. So this is interesting. This is definitely a solid 2-drop. The 3 health is great. War Chefs is a similar card with 2 attack, 3 health. It sticks to the board a little bit better than most other units. Unfortunately, with the 2 attack, it cannot block Fearsome, which is a drawback. However, if there is a Fearsome unit on the board, it's most likely going to get vulnerable from this Hired Gun. So there is a little bit of a positive upside to that in her not being able to block Fearsome units. Not quite sure if I think this is going to be played a ton yet. Crackshot Corsair, another 1-drop, so definitely some good aggro tools in this set. 1 attack, 1 health. When allies attack, deal 1 to the enemy nexus, and that is what this Crackshot skill is. That's just the skill representation of the effect going off. And honestly, this is definitely interesting. You have something like a spider, token deck, some sort of spider aggro deck that is constantly attacking. Now this is going to do 1 damage to their nexus every turn. However, A, it's easy to kill, and B, I'm not sure how valuable it is taking up an entire follower spot on your field just for this 1/1 token kind of. So Again, not crazy about this card. Definitely could see some play in some aggro decks toying around with it. But otherwise, definitely better one drops right now. Next up, we have, this is not a Misfortune champion spell. We're almost there. We're going to get to Misfortune in 1 second, but this is definitely a Misfortune ability. If you have played League of Legends, this is her Q. Double up, a 6-cost fast spell. Deal 2 damage to an enemy unit, and if it kills it, deal 4 to the Nexus. So, very interesting. I do think this is good. I think it will get played again in some sort of burn aggro deck, but it's interesting because it's going to be hard to get that 4 damage effect off. Now, the good thing is Powder Kegs, one of their strengths is affecting cards that do 2 damage instances in 1 card, which is exactly what this is. It says 2 and then 4. So a Powder Keg would actually make this do 3 and then 5 with just 1 Powder Keg. So it's definitely a good combo with the Powder Kegs. Very curious to see if we can make some sort of Powder Keg, you know, just really aggro-y Powder Keg deck work well in this next meta. All right, and now we have Misfortune's champion spell, Make It Rain. Oh yeah, and that is not. Oh man, that I can make a really bad joke right now. I'm gonna save that to myself, maybe for a stream. Anyways, this is a 2-cost fast speed spell that deals 1 to 3 random enemy units. So this is a great counter to things like Spider aggro, any aggro decks really that try to, you know, pop down a lot of units on the board early. Definitely love this card being in existence. Also makes it so control decks wouldn't have to wait until turn 5 for a Withering Wail to get some sort of board clear like that. I do think Withering Wail has a lot more utility, being that it heals you for 3 as well. But overall, I do think this is a great card. Also notable, again, with Powder Kegs, this does 2 damage to 3 random enemies. And now we have good old Misfortune. She is a 3-cost champion, 3 attack, 4 health, and she screams aggro. She synergizes well with a lot of her other cards, as well as, again, I've mentioned Powder Kegs a few times here. Powder Kegs actually seem to work with pretty much all the Bilgewater champions, which is pretty cool. So her effect is that when your allies attack, deal 1 damage to all battling enemies, so basically defenders, and also deal 1 damage to your opponent's Nexus. So pretty cool effect. She does not have to attack to activate it too, which means she can stay safe in the back line, commanding her troops. She does not need to go out. And when she attacks 4 times, that is when she levels up. Now her level up, she gets the +1/+1 as usual, but she also gains Overwhelm. Now you'll notice we just had Love Tap on her first level, right? That is technically the, again, skill representation of that skill going off. Now we have Bullet Time. Now when your allies attack, you're doing 1 damage 3 times to battling enemies and the opponent's Nexus. Now, again, it's worth noting, having a Powder Keg on the field with this ability is absolutely nuts. Now you're doing 2 damage 3 times to the entire field. So that's basically 6 damage and 6 damage to the Nexus. That's on 1 attack. So this becomes incredibly dangerous leveled up. She's also not hard to level up. I think I see a Misfortune and Gangplank deck in my near future, which I'm actually very excited to try out. And that's all she wrote for Misfortune. Oh my god, another awesome champion that I'm excited to play. Can't wait to start theory crafting with these puppies. We got a video coming with the rest of the cards in the set. And just after that, we're going to get into so many different decks. So as always, stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you, and peace out.